Okay, so hi everyone. Welcome to the June Frictionless Data Community Call. Thanks for being here today. This is going to be a bit of a special community call because instead of having a project presentation, today we're going to meet the third cohort of Frictionless Fellows. And we're going to have a little bit of a discussion with them and learn about their journey into reproducible research, open science, and their overall experience in their fellowship. So big shout out for Melvin, Lindsay, Kevin, Victoria, and Gogyang, who are almost at the end of the fellowship that lasted 9 months. But before we leave the floor to them, I propose that as usual, we do a quick round of introductions so that everybody knows everyone. And to spice it up a little bit today, and also because it's incredibly hot here, I propose that we all share our favorite ice cream taste. I can start. So I'm Sara Petti. I'm the community manager of Frictionless Data. I'm based in Bologna, Italy, which is a city in the center north, which hosts actually the oldest university in the world. And so as I said, at the moment, we are experiencing a massive heat wave and draw as well. So that gives me sort of an excuse to go for an ice cream every day. And my favorite taste is salty pistachio. What about you, Lindsay?
Hi, everybody can hear me okay? Okay, hi, I'm Lindsay Geip and my pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm a data services librarian in North Carolina in the United States, and I am one of the fellows in cohort 3. And my favorite ice cream taste is all of them. But if I have to pick one, probably vanilla, because you can mix any flavor you want into it, depending on your mood. And I'll pass to Lily.
Thanks, Lindsay. I'm Lily, and I'm the product owner for Frictionless Data. And I'm based in Austin, Texas, where it is just always hot now. My favorite ice cream, I actually don't eat that much ice cream, but when I do, I kind of like anything. I don't know. Really, it's all good. I will pick Florin.
Hi, I'm Florin. I work for Open Data CH based in Zurich, Switzerland. And my favorite ice cream, I think, is like dark chocolate and raspberry ginger. So that's like a flavor you can get at like my favorite ice cream shop. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but if you've never had it, try it. It's a really good combination. And I'll hand it over to Nikesh.
Thank you, Florin. So hi, everyone. So my name is Nikesh Palami. I'm based in Kathmandu, Nepal. So unlike Lily and Sarah, so these days it's a rainy season here in Kathmandu. So it's a good rain. So yeah, so not really a heat wave. So talking about the ice cream, so I prefer going for chocolate and vanilla most of the time. But yeah, definitely doesn't mind eating any flavor of ice creams. So what about you, Victoria?
Hey guys, I'm Victoria. I'm one of the Frictionless Fellows. I'm a physicist based in Berlin. And my favorite ice cream is by far matcha. I'm just obsessed with everything matcha. I'm handing off to you, Mel.
Thank you, Victoria. Hi, everyone. My name is Malvin Ochieng, and I'm a master's student at Mowai Polytechnic University. I'm pursuing fertilizer science and technology, and I'm also a Frictionless Fellow. And my favorite ice cream, I'll go with vanilla. I'll pick Kevin.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kevin Kidambasi. I'm a research fellow at International Center of Insects, Physiology and Ecology, or also known as ICIPE. I'm a third cohort Frictionless fellow. I'm from Kenya as well. And here in Kenya, it's a bit cold. If I were to do ice cream, I don't do ice cream. If I were to do ice cream, I would do vanilla. Okay, now, yeah. Yusuf.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, now yes.
Yes.
Hello. Okay, great. Okay, yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Yusuf. I'm data analyst and GIS expert as well. I'm based in Nigeria, and yeah, I'm not a big fan of ice cream, but I'm a big fan of Manchester United. So I'm happy to be here.
Fair enough. Thanks, Yusuf. Would you like to pick someone else to go after you?
Sure. That will be Pina Charles.
Yeah, Carlos, thanks. Yeah, I'm Carlos. I'm originally from Barcelona, near Barcelona, and I'm now in the UK, in a town 1 hour south or two from Manchester, Yusuf. So it's just a good connection. And yeah, I'm a software engineer. I do things with Python, and I used to do things with Frictionless, not at the moment. It's 19 degrees here only, so it's quite fresh. Well, not cold, but more than some other places. And favorite ice cream, I don't know, but the one that I want to have that I haven't had for a long time is licorice ice cream. I used to like, there was a shop with licorice ice cream, and I fancy eating this. I cannot find it. And I choose, is Shashi spoke, or I don't remember. No, then Shashi, please.
Hi everyone, I'm from Nepal and I currently work as a developer in Open Knowledge Foundation, and my favorite ice cream would be vanilla. So I would select Ole.
Thanks, Tashi. Yeah. So I'm Ole Labrowski from Switzerland, and I'm a software developer and a data consultant, and I work with Frictionless data on various projects. And before I say my favorite taste in ice cream, I have to make a point about what Carlos said. Licorice ice cream is pretty good, but salmiakki ice cream, if you're ever in Finland, you have to try salmiakki ice cream. It's even better. So I don't have a strong taste preference, but I really like big aromas, flavorful things, which I think you can find in any flavor of ice cream. So I'm with you, Lily, on that one. And I'll pass the ball over to, now it's getting really tricky. Yeah, Guoxiang, am I saying your name right?
Yes. Thanks, Ole. My name is Guo Qiang. I'm originally from China, and now I'm currently in Sweden. I'm doing PhD here. Soon I'm going to graduate. I'm also a Frictionless fellow. And for ice cream, I like ice cream in general, but I don't eat that much. Usually I go for chocolate. Thanks. Then I will go for Ergal. I'm not sure if I pronounced the name correctly.
I think so. Edgar, it's up to you. And we are sharing ice cream tastes as well, because you came a bit late.
Okay. Wait, can you hear me? Yes. What is the introduction round or just the ice cream round?
Both.
Well, okay. And I'm Edgar. I work as a developer in Open Knowledge, and I work in Frictionless, helping different parts in the framework. And regarding ice cream, let me see. I think dark chocolate and maracuja, passion fruit is my favorite. But chocolate must be really dark. I don't like that sweet chocolate. And I bit late. I don't know who. Sassy? Sassy is here?
Yeah, Sassy went already, but we're missing Augusto.
Hi, I'm Augusto Herman. I am based in Brasilia, capital of Brazil. It's not so hot in the global south. It's beginning winter, and also not so cold. It's cool weather. And I work as a data engineer in the Ministry of Economy of Brazil. And my favorite ice cream, I think it's pistachio. Is you like it too, Sarah? Has anyone not introduced themselves yet?
I think we're missing Olahide. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing the name correctly.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct. Olajide is the name. Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Olajide. I'm joining the call today from Nigeria. So it's my first time here, and I'm excited to be here. I'm enthusiastic about data science. Currently, I'm focusing on machine learning and how it applies to drug development. Generally, I do pharmaceutical research. So, but recently I've been exploring the capabilities of data science and machine learning and how it can be applied in my usual routine pharmaceutical research work. Regarding ice cream flavor, I would go for vanilla any day, anytime. Thank you.
Thanks, Olajide, and welcome. I think vanilla is the big winner. I'm sad for pistachio, but here it is. Lily, maybe I'll pass the floor to you if you want to do a quick introduction of the fellows.
Sure, thank you. And thanks everyone for sharing your ice cream preferences. I learned something new today already. So as I said, I'm Lily, and I have had the pleasure of working with the third cohort of Frictionless Fellows, who you are about to hear from in a minute. So the Frictionless Fellows are a group of early career researchers that are interested in learning about open science and data management by using the frictionless tools with their own research projects. And we select early career researchers from around the world that have an interesting mix of backgrounds. And then they all meet together for 9 months individually and as a group. And we learn together, we learn from each other, and we have a big mentorship component as well. So some of the things they learn are open science principles, things about sharing your code, sharing your data, including how to have conversations with other scientists or your PI that don't want to work openly. So that we had this one role-playing exercise that was particularly hilarious to help practice conversations like that. They learned about data management, really talk about metadata, which is one of the best parts of Frictionless, and data schemas. And then we talk about using the browser tools to package your data, but also validate your data. And then they all started using the Python tools as well. So there's a little bit of a coding component. And then they also give workshops and write a lot of blog posts. And you can read all of their blog posts on the website. I recommend that you read them. They're all really good. And they'll be writing their final blog posts soon. So we'll make sure and share those when those are done as well. But we are actually in the last week of the fellows, which is bittersweet. It's been a great experience to see them all grow. And so I'm really excited that you are all going to get to hear from them. Try to think if there's anything else I want to say before I hand it over. I think that's about it, but we'll go ahead and let them each speak for a few minutes. They're going to tell you about themselves, their background, their research, some things that they've learned, and what they're going to be doing in the future to continue working in open science and open research. And then after that, we can have some questions. If you want to ask about the program, or if you want to ask questions to the individual fellows, we can have time for that as well. All right, so does one of you want to volunteer to go first, or I will call on you? Okay, I'm going to call on Lindsay.
It's like it's usually me. I should just step up. I'm just going to wait and see, just in case anybody else wants to this last time. sorry, I'm Lindsay, like I said, and I'm a data services librarian at a public university in Greensboro, North Carolina. So my job is to work with faculty and students in making their, well, really with all of their aspects of data management. I do run an open data repository for our university. And although there was a data librarian before me and she had worked here for many years, we have exactly 6 submissions in our open data repository, which tells you that I have a lot of work to do in outreach to the community about what open science is, why it's important, and why you should be putting your data in an open data repository, and also why you have to if you want to continue getting grant funding. So this was a really good opportunity for me to work on my own data management skills and to think through sort of some of the challenges that the folks that I'll be working with will be experiencing, but also just to practice like talking through why we should be promoting open science in a forum that is dedicated to promoting open science was really useful and helpful for me. And then we talked yesterday, we had our group meeting yesterday, and we talked about the things that we were proud of and stuff. And one of the things that I was able to do that was really cool is that this is my first year in my position, and I really wanted to put in a proposal to present at this national conference for the Research Data Access and Preservation Association, which is a data librarianship professional organization. And I asked Lily to help me, and I got accepted, which was like, oh, cool, great. That was not that hard. But they actually, I learned recently, they only had a 29% acceptance rate for this conference. So that was really cool. And I just went in and I talked about learning about the frictionless tools and how to use them to make library catalog data more open. And then I also had the opportunity to write my first solo authored paper, which was submitted to a peer-reviewed journal. Actually, I guess technically it's due today. So we'll see if it gets accepted. But that's me. I think I will pass it to someone who would like to go next.
I can go next. We don't have to force people to go. Yeah. So hi guys, again, I'm Victoria. And so like I think everybody else kind of like came to the Frictionless program because they were looking for something specific, but I had actually been recommended by a participant in the previous cohort. And everything that she kind of like articulated and described to me about the program sounded like really interesting. But yeah, I guess it highlighted a lot of like frustrations that I had about working in like my background's in aerospace, and I've been working at the German Aerospace Center and doing research there. All the frustrations I'd had with like using a lot of proprietary software and sort of like also arbitrary security measures, even though I wasn't working on security related project, and also like why are we still using LabVIEW and not having version control and all these things. And so she had told me about the program and I applied. And I think everything that I've learned in the last year has sort of like helped me categorize and organize like these ideas that I'd had floating around that I didn't really like know what to do with or like have terms to, as well as like give me tools in order to like both like hard tools, so like the frictionless tools themselves and exposure to like other like data handling packages, but also like, and maybe even more important, like the soft tools of like how to like have these discussions with other researchers like within my lab, and also like just in general, and about like the importance of open science. So I think these are all kind of, yeah, like for me, this was, it felt like a really big, I guess, like growth as a researcher. And I have, yeah, I'm about to like move on to like the next steps. And I think that everything that we've talked about in the next year is definitely going to, yeah, sort of sway what I do in the future. and I'm excited to see what that's going to be. Yeah, whoever wants to go next can go. Or I will force somebody to go.
Yeah, I can go next. Thanks. Hi everyone. Again, my name is Guo Qiang, and I'm doing PhD in University of Gothenburg, and my PhD project is about female sex hormones and asthma. So when I applied for this project, it was a surprise for me. I got enrolled because I remember I was very nervous when having the interview, and this project also came like out of nowhere. I heard from like my supervisor, but no one has ever like been involved in this program. So it was very a surprise and opportunity for me. And then during this program, I got to know a lot about open science and had a lot of deep conversations with the fellows and with Lily. Before I started my PhD, I feel that there are a lot of boundaries when I was with, for example, some researchers, but I feel like it should be more open, but I don't know what could be the boundary there. And then during the program, I start to know that maybe the boundaries should be set maybe lower or higher so that we could make the science or data more open. So I used to get a little bit like intimidated when I feel those boundaries, but now I feel like I'm actually being supported because there are many people outside, they are actually encouraging this, supporting this. So I got a lot of encouragement and confidence in this. And in my project, I also like try to implement this reproducibility. Like for example, preparing a lot of supplementary files, which I found it's a very fulfilling process of learning. Implementing reproducibility, also learning the methodology. So for me, it's a very fulfilling process, and it's very, very nice to meet you all. And it's been quite a long time since I last time meet so many new people for me. So it's very exciting to meet you all. Thanks. Then I'll go for KK.
Thank you. So I'm Kevin Kidambasi, also known as KK. I'm from Kenya. I work at International Center of Insect Physiology as a research fellow. When I joined the program, I was a master's student. So I had a lot of data, and as a new student in a lab, mostly you don't know what to do with your data. You don't know how to properly collect data. So my key objective when I joined this program was to learn data management skills. So throughout the program, I've been able to learn open data and reproducible research principles, which I think have been valuable in my data and my work throughout. So I've been able also to learn so many things about programming. I didn't know programming. And I was worried that, maybe because I don't know programming, maybe I will not fit into the program. But from my experience, I have been able to learn it was not complicated the way I thought. I was able to learn from my colleagues and through mentorship of Lily. So I've been able to improve my skills throughout in programming and also Git and GitHub that I'm also excited to be using in my work as I continue with my research. Also, I didn't know what metadata is. So I have been able to learn about metadata and also been able to understand the importance of recording every information, detailed information about sample collection and data collection, which would make me be able to make meaningful insights from my work. And also I've been able to, there is also blogs, writing blogs. I think writing blogs was so exciting for me because I think it's important to be able to, through writing blogs, I'm able to learn how to communicate science and be able to communicate whatever I am doing to other people or other audience so that they understand my work. So also writing blogs was also interesting to me, and also the browser tools, the good tables and the data package that I think would be very valuable in my data management, because I think through those tools I will be able to validate my data and make it more put it in a format that is shareable and stored in a manner that maybe can be used by others without much difficulties. And also, I've also been able to learn things like workshop and presentation skills that I think are important in science. And I think I'll also be able to benefit from that. And also, I think from this program, I'll be a very good ambassador of open data and open science to my colleagues in the lab. I think I'll be able to tell them all the time the importance of publishing their code and publishing the methodology they use in their data collection, so that other people can be able to, replicate that in their work. So I think throughout the program, it has been a great learning experience. And I'm very grateful to meeting all my fellow colleagues and Lily as a mentor. And I hope in future we'll be able to meet in other platforms in the effort to promote open data and open science. Thank you. Oh, someone else. Now, who has not gone? I don't know. The next one can go.
Hello again. My name is Melvin Ochieng, and I'm a master's student at Mohammed VI Polytechnic University, though I'm Kenyan, and it's in Morocco. And my study is in fertilizer science and technology. And I'm currently doing my research for my master's, and I'm working on seed and fertilizer intervention on improving the livelihoods of a county here in Kenya that was affected during the COVID pandemic. And coming into this fellowship, one of the things that I had in mind was the challenges and obstacles that students face when doing their research in terms of accessing papers. Sometimes you find like very interesting papers that are related to your subject of interest, but then you're not able to access it. You have to purchase these articles, and that was a key thing on why I applied for this fellowship. And also, I really wanted to learn programming. I wanted to get a hands-on programming to be able to be more acquainted with data analysis. And throughout the program, I've managed to learn quite a lot of things, such as tools that are useful in open science, which are important in helping me to be able to become a better researcher in terms of how I work with my data to be able to make it more reproducible and also more open, so that I can be able to share what I'm working on with the world out there. And also I got to learn Python during the different activities that we were doing during the fellowship. And also one of the other things that I'm appreciative of is the blog writing, which enabled me to be able to put together my learning experience into words and to be able to share my learning experiences with the world. So this fellowship was really good. We were able to interact more with each other and to be able to learn more from one another. And I think the tools that I've learned for open science, I'll be able to utilize it in my study and in my career, and to be able to help me become a more and a better champion of open science and reproducible research. Thank you.
Thanks, Melvin, and thank you all for introducing yourselves and telling everyone a little bit more about you. I'm wondering if anyone has a question for the fellows or for me about anything they just said or about the program. I can ask some leading questions too, but I'll give you guys a chance. Okay. Yes? No? No? Okay. Yes.
I don't really have a question, but I have an invitation to Melvin in particular for the upcoming Hack Days in Switzerland. We have an event coming up focusing on farming and agriculture, something we've been doing a few years. We just this week started to make announcements, and I'll reach out to you and would really like to see you bring those Python hacking, blog writing, and open data publishing skills to our event.
Can I ask you to tell the fellows a little bit more about how a hackathon normally works? Because I think many of them probably haven't been to one before.
Data hackathon a few months back, which was really like a technically focused on, and it's like a long tradition of engineering communities, technical communities, especially in open source, to get people around. And usually there's pizza and drinks, and people spend way too many hours of the night working on some obscure problems. And we've kind of adapted this this tradition in the open data community to be more inclusive. So invite not just technical people, but people from the design and politics and just general citizenry to participate in design and development sessions. The thing about hackathons, they're like sport events. They're very limited in time. They have certain rules, and the contributions really matter. So we really try to bring visibility into the way people work, and team building is hugely important. So it's really not just being kind of an individual contributor, but finding a team working together, sharing collaboration techniques, and yeah. And we do this a lot in Switzerland, but I mean, in every country there have been hackathons popular with student groups, and I'm pretty sure that in the science community you'll see hackathons popping up here and there as well.
Thank you for that explanation.
Thanks, Florian. Florian just posted a link to the event I was mentioning. Thanks.
Cool. Okay, well, I have a question that this is for the fellows, but it's also for everyone. I'm going to put it in the chat, which is, what do you think is the biggest challenge to open science or reproducible research? This is a common thing that we will do in our group calls, is that I will ask them questions and then give them a little time to think about it, and then we'll come back and have a discussion as a group. Lindsay?
My office mate is also just walking in, so it might get loud in the background. You're fine. Sorry, I think that the biggest challenge for open science and reproducible research is that people don't know what it is. And in my field, at least, a lot of the researchers that I'm working with they have very strong feelings that the data that they have collected is theirs and that belongs to them, and they own it, and they're going to take it to the grave with them. And you might be able to put it in an open data repository after, you know, if you can pry it out of their hands from the grave. But that's for me what I think. I would be curious to hear what others.
Yeah, I agree with what you just said, Lindsay, and I feel like there's also this aspect of like, what does this gain me, and like, do I have time for this? I don't know, because if it's not like a norm or something that is like incentivized by like a requirement from a grant or something. I think, yeah, there's sort of like, I guess, like self and time preservation aspect.
I totally agree. I think it's more fear than individuality. Like, you know, I've worked for hours to get this, you know, why do I have to like put it up there for other people, right? And also the fear of what if, you know, someone gets to publish this work before I do, you know, how, you know, people tend to like keep it a secret until like everything is done and then now you can put it up.
Carlos?
Yeah, I was going to say from the reproducible research only, I leave the open science, and from the engineering point of view, it's not always easy. There's some skill set that some scientists don't have because it goes more into the engineering. So sometimes they don't know what it is. Sometimes they know what it is, and they still, when they know and they want to, sometimes it's hard to do it right, especially for long term and choosing technologies and approaches and documenting and formats. And it's very easy to make mistakes, and the tools that we have now don't always encourage this, I think. A possible idea is, I don't know if it's some tools documentation to help them, or to do groups that might hold hand a bit more from the beginning of a project to the scientists that they are on board, but they need some help to work in a specific way that will make it more reproducible or reproducible, or some other ideas, I don't know now.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Carlos. Does anybody else have a response they want to share?
Maybe I think, as an external observer into the research world, that it's also a matter of culture. So there are some fields in which, I mean, open has been like there for a very long time, and other fields in which is quite new. And people, I mean, to reconnect a bit with what other people said before, even when people want to do it, sometimes they don't know how to do it because there's not a culture, let's say.
Yes, I would also like to continue with research reproducibility. My experience in epidemiology in this specific field is that usually, like there are, for example, there are different methods, and all those methods, they can do the same thing or similar things. And sometimes we like choose, for example, method one as the kind of default method without usually thinking more carefully about that. So in my experience, that when I think about it carefully and review those methods, and I found that maybe this one, method two, is better, specific to my research question. So in terms of reproducibility, is that I found it difficult to, because then like I need to spend some time to review those methods and then think about the justifications why I'm using this. So it takes quite some time, like the learning curves is a little bit steep for me. So I found it's that is the quite challenging part. So it needs some like support from colleagues and supervisors. I think that is very important.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that I'll just repeat what many of you have said. Like, there is often a culture of fear, and that it is difficult. Like, you need some skills. And even what Carlos was saying, like, there are people in research groups that have those skills, but they often aren't like properly recognized. Like, they aren't put as authors on papers, or they aren't like paid very well, and that makes that career difficult, and it makes it so that like people that know how to code might not want to work in a researcher group. So I think that's also part of it.
I don't know. I just don't know if journals are nowadays encouraging or making a requirement that research is mandatory, research is reproducible. I don't know how many take this into account before publishing. I don't know if any of you might know this.
Not directly, but I can take a gander. So it's not necessarily on the journals. It's scholarly communications is a really interesting field of librarianship that is like sort of like parallel to this like idea of open data and open communication. So what you're asking kind of goes in the scholarly communication field from my perspective as a librarian. But to answer that question, the journals, like they make money. That's what they do. They exist to make money. People are paying for subscriptions to journals. They're paying to buy articles, but they're not paying for the research. In the United States, it's the government that's paying for the research. These researchers are going out and they're applying for grants and they're getting federal funding to do these research studies. And a lot of them have or are starting to have data management planning requirements and open data requirements. There was an article in PLOS One, PLOS. They're a very large science publishing. I don't know if it's a journal exactly, but they do a lot of science publishing. I feel like they publish there's like one journal called Nature. I think they have a bunch, but they have had open data requirements for a long time. And they did an article, I don't know, probably a decade ago, maybe 8 years, that was talking about the number of researchers that have these open data, open science mandates, and they don't fulfill them. And it was like, well, why? Why aren't they fulfilling them? And it was a really interesting article. I don't know if I know the name of it. I can try and find it and send it either to Sarah or Lily to try and get it back to the group. But the results that they found were most researchers just don't know. They don't know that the requirement is there because they're not reading the fine print. They think putting like a note on it that says, email me at my institution is good enough. And then, they leave their institution and, nobody knows where to find them. They don't know that they have to do it. They don't know how to do it, or they don't have the resources to do it. I don't know.
Yes, I just want to add to Lindsay about the journals, and it's I don't know how it's called, but it's an organization or something, but it has a lot of journals like PLOS One, PLOS Medicine. They kind of encourages this open access publication and also accessible to the data. And if the data is not accessible, you have to provide justifications why it's not accessible. So I think that is, and also from my impression, that is more and more journals, they are, they require you to provide your original data, and if not, provide also why it cannot be accessed, and if you want to access it, what you need to do. So just to add to that.
One of my favorite scientific publishers is eLife. And I really like eLife because they're really pushing the envelope in this space. They make it really easy for researchers to publish their data with their article, so that when you're viewing the article online, you can click on a figure and immediately download the data set, which is I say that out loud to you. If you're not familiar with research, you're probably like, of course, that's how it should be, but that is not normal. So that is really great. And they have very permissive licensing for all of their research. So people can actually download the data and reuse it, which again is not normal. And they're also working on these reproducible article formats where you can actually view the code that scientists use to analyze the data in your browser and edit the code and then look and see how that changes the results. Or, if you want to take a bar graph that has standard deviation and change it to standard error mean or do some other statistics on it, you can do that in your browser like immediately, which is a big game changer for the scientific field. So they're one of my favorite publishers for that reason.
Other questions for the fellows? Or just questions in general as well, that's good. Maybe I'll ask you very quickly. I mean, it's if you, I mean, some of you already told some of this, but if you had to take like one key learning from your fellowship, what would that be?
They're stumped. There's too much.
I want to say we posted our blogs to GitHub. And so like learning how to like access a group repository like that and the branching and all of that was for me very tricky because I was trying to use different methods of accessing it. And then I confused myself and Lily had to just be like, just use one and write it down. I was like, yeah, I know. But that was one thing.
Thanks, Lindsay.
So quiet.
Yes, I can continue. Yes, for me, I think it's yeah. Of course, I learned a lot of things like skills, tools during this program, and different ideas. And the one that I found is very very new or very helpful to me is time management. I think I have told me that I used to work a little bit spontaneously. Like if I want to work, then I work. If I don't feel like working, then I just stop working. And then during this program, because I need to also work on my project and also prepare for the program, the blogs and different things. And also inspired by Lily. She introduced some tools about time management and the ways of working. So I think I improved a lot with this, and I started to value the time that I put into work. And I know all this time is going to be there, and I'm going to work on this. So I am more aware of the time that is constantly passing by. So, which helps me to work more efficiently. Yeah.
I think I'll go next. Yeah, so for me, I think if there's one thing, of course, there's so many things we learned, but if there's one takeaway for me, it will be about data. Like we learned so much about data that they didn't know about, things like metadata, schema, these were new terms when I was starting the fellowship. And I've really appreciated it. And also when it comes to, data organization and, how you package your data. We had this exercise where we did data package exchange, and we realized what you think like it's not the same for the other person. So like it's not easy to understand my data. Like I know my data, but how you package it out there, someone else who's not from the same field might not understand it. So that was a very useful lesson. Yeah, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, sort of continuing off of what Melvin said. So we did this partner, data training exercise. And something that like really sat with me afterwards was, so I'm a laser spectroscopist. Like I pretty much only work with quantitative data, and I was paired with a researcher, she's not here today, who had like purely qualitative data. And yet, like from a structural perspective, like so many of like the errors and inconsistencies and pain point in data handling was like very similar. And I think that really sat with me, this kind of like idea of like, oh, like we're all having similar problems, like both kind of like on the minutia level, but also like, yeah, like holistically with like how to, yeah, like handle your data more openly. So that, yeah, I think that was really interesting for me.
Yeah, so for me, it's actually just the same like my colleagues. When I joined the program, I didn't know how to manage my data properly, and I came to understand things like metadata, which is very important when you are dealing with data. I came to understand it is very important to record every detail of what you are doing. For example, the tools you are using to collect data, how you store the data, and how you just handle the data holistically, which is very, very important when you want to analyze your data yourself, maybe to even publish the work. If you don't have all the information or the details behind the data, then you will not be able to you know, make sense out of the data. So learning about how to deal with the data and you know, how to package it and how to validate it and how to edit it to make it reproducible and to make it understood by others, and also for you to be able to store it in a manner that you can be able to retrieve it maybe when you want to use it in the future, and the browser tools that would enable us to validate our data and make it more, you know, clean for others to use it and to use it on our own. So it was quite a learning experience, and I really benefited from it. Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. That was very interesting. I would love to be able to ask you for another question, but I think we're running out of time. So just maybe a couple of announcements. The next community call is going to be on July 28th, and we're going to hear about a project called Flutterer, which is a tool that helps converting JSON into tabular data. There is a link in the agenda doc if you're interested in the project. And anyhow, I'll see you, I hope, next month. Besides that, not so many updates. Join our community chat if you haven't done already. We're on Slack and also accessible via Matrix. And I think that's it. Lily, do you want to add anything?
No, I think that's it. Just thank you to the fellows for coming and presenting today. And thank you all for participating as well.
Yeah, thanks everyone. And thanks to the fellows. It was really, really great to hear from you.
Have a good day, evening, everyone.
Bye all. It's time for ice cream.